if you're shooting video, especially outdoors, these are going to be your best friends. All right, let's talk about something that is essential that you will probably need when you're shooting video, and that is ND filters, variable ND filters. Now these guys can be a lifesaver for you, especially when shooting outdoors or in areas where you cannot control light. We'll talk a little bit about low light situations and how you should avoid using these guys. These are going to help you control things like exposure. They can even be useful for photography as well, but for the most part, video is just a little bit different than photography. For video, you don't want to be moving your shutter speed around. So if you're shooting at 24 frames per second, you want to keep your shutter speed at 1/50, which means that now you're going to be super overexposed, especially if it's in the middle of the day, outdoors. You're trying to get some good footage. It's just, you're going to be blown out. It's not going to look good. Then comes in the ND filter. Consider it sunglasses for your lens. Everybody loves to use that analogy, and it's pretty dead on. You put this in front of your lens and you can control how much exposure goes into your camera. So that way you can keep your shutter where it's at. You can keep your ISO super low, have a nice, well-balanced look, saving the highlights and getting details in those shadows. So what exactly is a variable ND filter? Well, what makes it a variable ND filter and what separates it from other ND filters is the fact that it has multiple stops built into it. So when you get a filter like this, you can see it get lighter when you switch it or when you spin it, and then now you can see it get darker when you spin it that way. So instead of using multiple ND filters and switching between different filters, using a variable ND filter makes it super easy so that you're just using one thing, you're threading that onto your camera, and you're just adjusting as you go. These filters are used in very bright conditions so that you can be able to keep your shutter speed where it needs to be, and you can have a shallow depth of field. So if you want to shoot in 1.8 or 2.8 and keep your shutter speed at 1/50, these are going to come in good hand, or these are going to come in handy. These are going to come in clutch. I don't know what to say there. These are going to come in really nice. Otherwise, your shot would basically be super blown out. You would be trying to save your highlights in post, and quite frankly, that is not really the right way to do it, and it's not going to look that great. Now, here are some scenarios where using a variable ND filter will not be helpful. So for example, if you're in a controlled environment like this, where the room is dark, I've got one light source hitting me, I've got two light sources hitting the back. Basically, if I had an ND filter on my lens right now, I would either have to raise the light intensity or I would have to compensate with ISO. That can introduce noise and degrade the quality of your footage, so I would highly suggest not keeping your ND filter on when you're transitioning from outdoors to indoors. So get all the shots that you need outdoors. Once you're done, make sure that you don't need to go back out there, take your ND filter off, and get going on the indoor stuff. Another scenario where using the ND filter is not a good idea, or how you're using the ND filter, is using them at their full strength. Especially with these guys right here. These are cheaper ND filters, so if I use them at their maximum capacity, you're going to see something that's going to be very unpleasing to the eye, and it's crosshairs. It's an X, a dark X on your image. This X pattern can pretty much make your footage unusable. Well, unusable is an objective word, but for the high-level professional shoots that I'm in, that's a no-no. So if I were to be in a scenario where it's a controlled video shoot and we've got a huge budget, then I'd be probably getting some more expensive ND filters and or a matte box. That is a subject for a different video. But then you start losing stuff like color accuracy. You see a lot more blues and magentas in your image. And if that's the case, I mean, you can kind of put two and two together. It's not going to be that good. So if you're reaching maximum strength, then it's probably time to bring the aperture up a little bit. If you're at 2.8, bring it up to 4. 1.8, bring it up to 2.8. Or it might be time to invest in a much more expensive variable ND filter. Peter McKinnon with Nomadic have made an industry standard one. I have not jumped on that boat yet just because I cannot justify paying that much money. But if that's something that's super important to you, then go for it. Again, I'm in a lot of controlled high-end productions and will have time on my shoots to be able to make those decisions. These are more for run and gun scenarios where the quality doesn't have to be all that great. So that is just a little bit about ND filters. I hope that you've gained some knowledge and some information. These guys are going to be linked below. You can find them on Amazon. They're super affordable. I'll shoot some links below. They're non-affiliate links. I'm not sponsored by any of these products that I've talked about. Please subscribe, hit the like button if you like this video. Leave a comment down below. Have you used ND filters before? If you have they been helpful? Do you have any tips on ND filters that people can go buy? It's definitely one of those things that lives in my camera bag all of the time, wherever I go. Always have an ND filter. That way, I'm pretty much good to go. Thanks for watching.